Heartland Challenge is going to be this weekend at the Sport Park Raceway.
They're doing GBC.
It's a GBC Heartland Challenge.
What's the GBC?
I don't know. It's the name of the company that sponsors it. But anyway, it's a endurance race.
Really?
2-day event on the 6th and 7th. They're going to be out there running around. There's racers from all over the world that are coming to this. Maybe I'm exaggerating. Maybe they'll come from Indiana. But there's a lot of people coming to this event. It's in the last 13 years, it's been in Carlisle. And this is the first time they've been up in Fort Dodge. And Kerry Kuiper over at the CVB, Convention and Visitor Bureau, is looking for volunteers to help out there. So if you have an opportunity this weekend and your motorcycle...
Are you sure it's this weekend and not the next weekend?
Next weekend, I'm sorry, August 6th and 7th.
Well, August 6th and 7th, that's not this weekend.
That's next weekend.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
A week from
I'm
this
old.
weekend.
Forgive me. I don't
Forget it. I'm older than you are, youngster.
I don't have a calendar in front of me. It's 6 and 7.
And you don't know who's putting the event on either.
No, GBC. I got all those things. I got,
Chris Now you said Kerry Kuiper.
Kerry Kuiper
at
the CVB. She's right, Chris Patrick. Chris is right next door to her. So.
Oh, well, there's no difference between the two. You hear that, girls? No difference between you, according to Dr. Terry Minky.
Girls? Calling them girls?
Oh, well, I know who they are. Yeah. Maybe they're of an age they'd appreciate that. I don't know.
Yeah, and also I want to give a shout out to the RAGBRAI volunteers.
Ladies, women. What are we supposed to call females?
I have no
now?
idea.
I don't either.
It's
a little
confused.
I'm very confused.
Yeah. So anyway, I wanted
to
How
about we call them Chris and Kerry?
Yeah, that'd be a good idea. Yep. Shout out to the RAGBRAI volunteers. It went very smoothly. I was very, very, very peripherally involved in that, to the point where I was virtually non-existent.
But you are going to take credit for the entire thing.
No, I'm not. No, the group that headed it up this year, where I think Kerry Kuiper actually is the one that was in charge of that, and she has some great executive chairs. Nikki and Nevin, Conrad were both
I heard
in front. Ryan Grunberg, Megan Secor was involved with that. Shannon Krause from my office was the head of volunteers. A lot of activities, a lot of very good times were had by all. I think they did
It was a great job. Yeah, it was in the. I heard no reports of trouble. No. Usually when you get a group that big and some of them are partying, there might be a little incident.
I talked to Roger last night. There were a couple little problems, but surprisingly, there were Fort Dodge residents behind them. So.
That happens. We get some of the locals down there screwing around with those people.
But anyway,
not that Fort Dodge guys would do anything
no, absolutely not. But again, you look at the beautification of downtown with PICA. The public works people did a great job. You drive through Sunkist. I mean, you can't even tell by Tuesday at noon. You couldn't tell that there were 20,000 people in town. I mean, it's just amazing.
You kept them down at Sunkist Meadows. You talking about?
Yeah, the campers down there.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, that's where they.
Gosh, I haven't been down there since we golfed down there.
Yeah, they had a lot of tents, and there were a lot of tents all through the community. We appreciate the people letting people in their front yards. I mean, there was tents everywhere you went this time, and it was just great. I think everybody had a good time. We were out at Floyd, which was set about a week ago,
something like that.
Yeah, we were.
Hats off to Dave Flattery,
yeah,
man. I mean it.
Good job. We don't want to give him all the credit, but it was his idea.
I'll give him the credit.
Now you got.
He was the motivating. He was the driving force behind that, and he got it done.
Yeah, and
he gets. I mean, he's reduced in stature by Nevin Mulholland every now and then. He blames the Flattery brothers, Dan and Dave, for the end of baseball at Iowa State University because they were on the team.
Yeah, they would bring it back if they could. But anyway, PICA will be out there tomorrow at Florida Rosedale doing some groundskeeping work, planting some plants to make it look a little bit better. We were out there yesterday morning. Randy Kuhlman and Dave and I showed up, and we took pictures of people as they came up, because a lot of Iowa people wanted their pictures taken. A lot of good comments, a few Iowa State, things thrown at us, but we dealt with it. But it was just, I think it's going to be.
It was real trauma for you. Yeah, I'd have just given him the finger.
No, I don't care, because my allegiance is to whoever wins. That's all I care about.
You went to school in Tennessee, or did some?
Well, that's why I did my optometry school was in Tennessee.
Where was your undergraduate degree?
Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
I didn't know they had a college in Sioux Falls.
They have two, Augustana and Sioux Falls College.
Oh, that's right.
Which is now the University of Sioux Falls.
Let's not get too Lutheran. For God's sake.
But anyway, they, the pig looks good. I mean, I think it's something we can be proud of. It's another aspect to our public art. Some people hate it, some people like it, but I think if you go out there, Daryl Merrill did a great job. The construction,
terrific.
It's
just by coincidence, David Osterberg, formerly the Iowa Policy Project, now Common Good Iowa. He calls every Thursday and has for a long, long time. Good man. His neighbor is this Merrill guy.
Yeah.
Down in Mount Vernon.
Okay.
And he would go over. David would be around the neighborhood, of course. Yeah, and he'd say, "What are you building this for?" And he'd say, "Well, Fort Dodge." And David Osterberg didn't know the story, so it was my pleasure to give him a little bit of an update.
Dale is an artist. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I met with him. I was part of the group, and we met with him in 2019. We had 5 different proposals that came across the table. His was one that I really thought represented the trophy very well. I mean, you could tell what it was. You could tell some of them were a little abstract for me. There's one that was bent copper. It kind of changed when you went around. It was basically copper pipe, which was cool. But Dale definitely did a great job taking what we envisioned and creating it out of metal. The worst part was getting the metal, because like everything last year with the pandemic, it was hard to get the metal. So he keeps saying, he worked on it and he couldn't do anything because he couldn't get any metal. And so it was an ongoing battle, and, it's big, and it took a lot of space up in his shop. He said he had a 1/2-inch clearance getting it out the door. You think he would have measured that ahead of time, but yeah, he had a 1/2-inch of clearance. And then he took it to a couple of events. He took it to Beef Days at one small town down in eastern Iowa, and put
that's Mount Vernon.
Yeah, well, he put something on the trailer as he towed it through, something about where's the beef or something with Floyd. And he won best float of the show.
No, that's not Mount Vernon's another town real close to Mount Vernon, just north Iowa City. Down it.
But the Hawkeye alumni were down in Iowa City, and he took it down and took it to the practice field on the.
Oh, he did.
Yeah. So
great.
It was quite impressive, and I'm sure that coming across the state of Iowa, and the Iowa Central hauled it for us with their training flatbed.
They did.
Yeah,
well, that's great.
They had the base and the pig on there mounted, and so you can imagine seeing that thing going down the road. I bet that was impressive.
It wasn't enclosed.
No, it was out in the open. So it was
a pig rolling down the road.
Rolling down the road.
That's great.
That was cool. Yeah. So that was great. And of course, we got to give a shout out to the girls' state softball. Congratulations to the girls for pulling it off this year.
Absolutely. By the way, Coach Adams will not be here on Friday at 4 when Nevin and Randy and I do the sports show, but some of the players will be here. And I look forward to congratulating them in person.
Yeah, they did a
on
great
Friday.
job.
They did a terrific job.
Yeah, I listened to it. At my delicate condition, I didn't want to go sit in the sun, but I was, cheering them on from home. So I'm very appreciative of all the hard work they went through to get to where they got. So.
I drove out there for one of the games, and not surprisingly, it was a mob scene.
Yeah.
So I just turned around, came home, and turned on Rob on the radio.
Yeah, well, that's what I listened
to.
And
that's he's entertaining in itself.
Yeah, yeah. I just heard him try to pronounce Minot, North Dakota. I think it was something different.
In Minot, North Dakota.
Yeah. But anyway, they did a great job, and Lori did a lot of work with the group out there and signed them for another 5 years, 1 year extension for the next 5 years. We're running into more and more pressure, obviously, to maintain, upgrade, and keep the fields out there top notch. Improvements are necessary, and we discussed that last night.
So it's AstroTurf, or
no,
it's not called AstroTurf.
No, this is I don't know what they call it out there. Mr. Flattery knows more about the turf situation.
Well, what it is concrete with a rug over the top of it. I've never gone along with that at all. I don't think that's good for you.
They want it, but not at the girls' tournament though. The girls softball field will remain natural grass.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Well, only the so-called Iowa Central field, even though it's the city of Fort Dodge field.
The so-called
the turf situation. We discussed that last night. But anyway, the softball association has got some requests in for some improvements, some lighting, and the little league people out there could use a couple more fields out there. So there's a lot of potential growth out at Harlan Rogers. And again, my concern last night was dumping a lot of money into one project instead of having enough money available for everything. So we're going to be addressing the financial status over the next few weeks as far
as long as you bring this up, and we're running out of time, I'm looking.
Now's the time to bring it up.
And now's the time. And we got about 9 minutes to go here, but I can't let anybody out of here unless they talk to me about broadband.
Yeah.
I talked with Ferrick about it a little bit yesterday, and he seems confident that we can have broadband here in Fort Dodge in early 23.
That's correct. We've actually already put an order in for the fiber, and which is the biggest concern
That's
right
huge
now.
news. That's great.
One of the people that we had talked to originally about coming in actually had fiber on hand, so that was an advantage dealing with them. But then when we went out on our own, obviously we have to go out and try to find fiber, and it's been a little bit of a problem, I guess, the supply chain for virtually everything anymore. But the fiber should be, here, and they should start construction, I would imagine, in the spring. Actually online, hopefully by early 23, but I wouldn't be surprised if there weren't areas in town by next fall that we'll be looking at having something available.
Well, I hope some consideration in some meetings are being held about the real reason that we're going for our own broadband. And the real reason is that the customer service by our current providers was terrible,
right,
and dismissive, and a big waste of time for everyone who ever tried to do business with them or ever tried to talk to them at all. It's like, this is the way we do it. Give us your money and shut up.
Yeah.
People got tired of that. I certainly did.
Yeah, but again,
So I hope that we have, let me finish.
okay.
I hope that we have plans underway to train staff so they're not rude, boorish, and the service people are able to keep their appointments and do the service work on time without having someone wait 4 hours, or in my case, 3 hours and 46 minutes, before I missed a call by 9 minutes. And then I was told to go sit in the corner again for 4 hours. Let me get off that right now, or I'll still be talking about it at 5 o'clock. So there we go.
Well, our next step in the development of the system is going to be to hire a general manager, and we're going to try to find somebody, obviously, that has built a system like this before, and then it'll be his responsibility to hire and make sure that the employees are trained properly. I mean, we're looking at marketing people, we're looking at billing people, we're looking at service techs.
Of course.
And, I mean, we're looking at basically building a business. And
is Smart Source consulting in this
yes,
at all?
Smart Source is continuing to consult.
Okay.
We've got some very good representatives.
I think so.
We've sat through a lot of meetings with these people, and my questions, are pretty basic because I don't know a lot about the system, but they I think, have done this enough. Part of the new thing now is, what are we going to do for financing? Because, they're looking to borrow up to $40 million. That's kind of the upper cap. I don't think it's going to actually be that much money, which will be repaid by the users, not by the taxpayers. And so we have to arrange our financing. We're working with the local banks. Several of them have been in several meetings. It's a tough decision for a banker to look at a new business with no collateral and no proven history. So there's a little bit of a risk involved, anything like this. But again, I think once the fiber's in the ground, then we have a viable, commodity that we can use to leverage future negotiations. So I think it's moving smoothly. Brian Mayle is kind of our point person at the city. I think he's learned quite a bit in the last few months because we, obviously started with not a lot of background on this, but our consultants have stepped up, both the financial and the building of the business. This has been done at numerous communities throughout Iowa, and I think, we're going to be successful once we get it rolled out because, as you know, our current providers aren't exactly doing as they want.
Gee, you think?
I know.
Yeah, I've never met. I rarely encountered in the business world anywhere someone who treated their customers so badly.
Yeah, it's
Just
like the soup
atrocious.
Nazi. The soup Nazi.
Oh yeah, I mean they're worse than the soup Nazi. All the soup Nazi would tell you to do is get out. He wouldn't have you go sit around for
No
hours.
soup for you. Yeah, but again, we have to build a fleet. I mean, we have to get vehicles, we have to get equipment. We have, I believe, the basement of City Hall will be converted as kind of our server hub, which means we're going to have to provide adequate cooling in the basement, plus a generator outside for backup. We're going to have a place to stock, inventory. I mean, we're going to have pieces and parts all over the place, and so we have to have all this. So maybe we can convert the Warden Plaza into our downtown hub, but might be a better use than what it is right now.
Maybe we could join Jeff Bezos on his spaceship, but probably not. Talk about somebody with 30 million. We ought to petition Jeff Bezos or the other guy, Branson.
Yeah.
All we need for our little town is $30 million.
Yeah.
Can you handle it?
Yeah.
We'll name it the
pocket
Bezos Center, for God's sake.
change.
Yeah.
Yeah. But again, that's
For
part
him,
of
it would be.
Yeah. So that's part of our economic development. I mean, residents need it, businesses need it. I think attracting new industry and attracting young people to our community, because as we found out last year, you don't necessarily have to show up for the job. You can sit at your computer and function very well. My daughter-in-law has been working remotely for over a year now, and it's worked out real well for her and for the business, because, you know, it's just, you don't have to deal with personnel, I guess. I don't know, but it's the wave of the future. And then also educationally, when our kids were doing their homework online, I mean, if we don't have good internet, it's hard for them to get their work done. So
It is.
yeah, so I think it's critical, and that's you know, one of our top priorities. Came out a couple years ago in strategic planning. David attended a meeting after we had brought it up and learned a little more, and he was willing to take a risk. And again, this is I think it's going to be a win-win if we can get everybody to kind of pull together. We need probably about 40 to 50% participation in the city. So we're hoping we can get that relatively early,
Sure.
because you know, the big dogs are going to come in with some deals, and they're going to try to tie you up for a couple of years. And you've got Mr. Baltimore, who's still nibbling out there, asking questions, and, you know, trying to raise
Chip is always screwing around.
trying
Isn't
to
it?
raise concerns, looking for problems when there aren't any, and, you know, trying to create them when he can. And
That's his job.
yeah, I know. And
I like Chip personally. He's a wild guy. Really.
yeah,
Pretty
well,
cool
I'm
guy.
sure, you know, he's a nice guy, but
He came up here and was on the air with me for an hour. And we had a very long, firm, but polite and friendly conversation. And it's not the first time I've talked with Chip. I talked with him when he was a state senator. I think he was a state
Yeah.
senator more than once. And but Chip has not been a friend to Fort Dodge, I'll tell you. He was kind of in on that Jefferson Casino thing.
yeah, he's with the Taxpayers Protection Alliance.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Based out of Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you do a little background check on that group? Because I have.
Well, I have a little bit.
It's media companies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's difficult to get a lot of information because they protect their money very well. I mean, they don't want anybody to know who they're representing, but they've got a nice office in Washington, and they've got some pretty high dollar paid employees. So
Sure they do.
Somebody's funding them. So, but again, we
Media companies.
Yeah.
That's
we think we're doing the right thing, and we think it's going to be very successful.
I know you're doing the right thing. I applaud your actions, and I know I would be remiss if I didn't give you total and complete credit for the entire project, because I know you expect it. So thank you, Terry Menke, for getting this done in broadband.
Yeah,
And
let me give you Mike's cell phone number in case something happens. If your internet goes out in the middle of the night, Mike will be the one to.
I should get Chip Baltimore up here and just argue
He
with him
should.
again for
You
another
should.
hour.
I'd enjoy that.
Because he enjoys it.
We could feed you questions. I'm sure we could. Yeah, he enjoys what he's doing.
Yes, he does.
Unfortunately.
Well, he doesn't take anything personally, and that's good. Good
Yeah.
for him.
Yeah,
It's 3:00. Thank you, Terry.
you bet.
All right, this is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
Hi, this is Leslie Segretti.
And I'm Tom Kreitler, and you can hear the Money Pit every Saturday afternoon from 4 to 6 on the voice of Fort Dodge, AM